Hi everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with another video for simplicity. So I dug around into my stash, and this is one of the paper pads, or partial paper pads that you receive in, I believe it was one of the Simon Says kits. If I can't get to the kit, I will break it down, and then just get everything separated. So what I'm showing you here is going to be the process, but when I break down a 6x6 paper pad, you know, what I'm looking at, how I'm cutting these papers and so forth. So long Gabby video, that is my norm, and it's going to definitely be this way for this one. So this video from start to finish, and when I say start, I mean from the start that I knew the paper pad that I was going to do to the ending of the cards when you see me lay them out, took 45 minutes. So just to give you an idea of how long this process could take to make this many cards, which I think is awesome. I am speeding this video up just a little bit because I did not do it live. Okay, so there's always, you know, mixed reviews on the lives and when I do voiceover. So I'm going to just do the mixture of the videos that I want to do. I'm just saying. All right. So as you can see, what I do is when it comes to a paper pad, 9 out of 10, you get 2 sheets minimum of each of the designs. I pull one set of those sheets out automatically. Now, this didn't have that. Basically, what we got in the kit was one pattern paper from the paper pad, one design. So we already got half of it. So what I do is I look through these, and the first ones that I pull out are the ones that I want for the background. Now for this, I looked a little bit differently. And what I did was I wanted to turn the paper pad into the focal points. So you can see where there's writing and everything, I'm putting those to the top. I'm just creating these piles. So you can see, you know, that's a background, and that's what's going through my mind. This one kind of stumped me, but I figured, you know what, I'm going to cut off that top strip, and then I'm going to cut down the center because I can take half of that design and do something. So when there is, you know, words or a specific floral design or something that can be really called out, I'm going to put that on its own because that's something that I'm going to accent. I can tell you right now, I am not measuring. I am just cutting down the pieces to be what I think I want them to be. I don't have time to measure. I just don't want to measure. Some people do, and by all means, you can. This is just something that I do. I know all of my cards, when it comes to my card pages, are always a standard A2 size measurement, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and 9 out of 10, they are a top folding card. Or a side folding if I turned it into a landscape. When I do pull a paper pad down, I will choose 2 to 3 solid cardstock colors. Now, the cardstock that I'm usually using for this is by Recollections, the 65-pound weight, because I think that cardstock is perfect for layering. It is not good for card bases. It's too flimsy. Now, Recollections does make a 110-pound, which I think is beautiful for card bases. I like to save it, though, for thick die cutting, when it comes to silhouettes or frames. I do like to save it for that, but I do like to use the Recollections also for colored pencil images if I want a stark white cardstock. I do not like to use Nina when it comes to my colored pencils. Okay, let's stick with paper. So you can see I chose a peach, I chose a green, a seafoam green, and an ivory. Now, when it comes to the recollections paper, it comes in great sets. Sets of reds, sets of blues, sets of aquas, neutrals, yellows, oranges. I mean, it really breaks it down. And then they've got one that's called Spice. That's great for Thanksgiving. They have one that's called Christmas. That's great for those holidays. Those are the things that I have. You get a lot of paper in them. And you get 5 different colors with 50 sheets. So you get 10 sheets of each of those colors. And that is what I use that paper for, to layer. Because you can see I have 2, 3 layers going on here. I like to use that solid cardstock as the frame. So that's why I cut my pattern paper first. Because again, I'm just cutting. Usually I only need 1 sheet, 1 to 2 sheets of the solid cardstock. So I'm making it stretch. I'm making it really pull itself out. What I'm making here are note cards. I'm not worried about a sentiment. You can if the pack comes with sentiments. But if you don't have sentiments, it's okay. These can be note cards. You don't have to have a sentiment on the front of your card when you're simply putting something in the mail to say, I'm thinking of you. Just because, hey, how the heck are you doing today? You don't need to have that sentiment. Let the paper put all this together for you. Once I have my pattern paper completed, the squares and everything else, now what I'll do is that's when I'll come in with that solid cardstock. I will at that time measure the pattern paper because then I know what to cut the solid paper. Now, 9 out of 10, I will take my pattern paper, glue it down onto the solid and cut around it and create the border. But for those of you that are not comfortable with a pair, I like to use long shears for that. Some people still aren't comfortable with scissors. They still get wonky. That's okay. So what I do is at that point, then I'll measure it. I will always go up either 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. If I want a very thin border, and if my block measures 3 inches by 3 inches, my solid cardstock will be cut 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. I want a very thin border going around from this. This is allowing me to catch up in my talking. Pause. When it comes, if I want a thicker border, like my normal border frame for going around my pieces, if my piece is 3 inches by 3 inches, then I will go 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, because then there will be 1/8 on each side, on all 4 sides of my piece. I keep it simple like that. If I want a thicker border, then I'll go up 3 1/2 to 3 1/2 if my original image is 3 inches by 3 inches. So as you go up, as you make that piece bigger, so by me making it 1/2 an inch larger, I'm going to have 1/4 of an inch all 4 sides. I'll have a video clearly explaining that when we talk about paper. If you're interested in that, let me know. I mean, I could talk about this stuff for hours, which would probably drive people crazy. I'm just saying. So you can see I'm still going through. I'm still cutting my pieces. I'm keeping all of the scraps. I'm not getting rid of anything here because I'm still building. I'm still using up this paper. And even with the cards that I made for the set, I didn't use all of the paper. It doesn't mean that I'm going to throw that away. No, that means that it goes into my junk journal stuff so that I can use it for scraps over there to add embellishments into my journals. So again, everything's got a purpose. So it's funny, the waste from my card making side goes into my journal side because I can't throw anything away. Yes. And I haven't even done my year-end cleaning, which is really funny. So you can see all the piles that I've created. Now I've got a smaller strip stack there. You'll see what we'll do with those. I already have my matted layers already put together, so they're going to get set for my cards. Now I'm going to start putting these together. Now, one of the things that you can do, and here I am, I'm going to fight with a tape thingy, a tape runner. It's me. It's not the tape runners. I just can't operate them. But tape runners do allow this to be quick. And I believe this is when you would use a tape runner. Okay, for something like this, it's not an intricate piece. There's no detail to it. It's just beautiful paper coming together. So a tape runner will work when it comes to these layers. So you can see I'm starting from the top and I'm going to work my way down. I'm just picking up my layers and I'm continually putting my tape runner down and building on each one. By building on each one, you're creating dimension and texture. So with your layers, you really don't need to have foam tape or foam squares. You can, because then you can add more depth and more steps onto your cards. By all means, it's all a personal preference. What I want to stress here is, if you love paper, let it do its work. Let it do the work for you. You can still make beautiful cards with paper and glue. You don't have to have all the stamps. You don't have to have all the dies. I do think it's easier to use a paper trimmer. It will just help with that. Do you need that? No, a ruler and a cutting blade is just fine. You don't have to. But your paper can do so much just with the paper, and there's so many wonderful companies out there, from your local craft stores that are near you, whether that's Joann's, Michael's, or AC Moore's, or Hobby Lobby, although I heard Hobby Lobby shut down, from ordering it from online, whether that's Amazon or anything like that. You can also use digital downloads and create your cards. You know, purchase those sets, get them printed professionally at your local office supply, whether that's Kinko's, Staples, Office Max. They'll print it down onto cardstock, so that it's thicker for you, and then come back and have a ball cutting it up and enjoying it. But you don't need to have all of that. Again, I'm really not one to put a sentiment on front of my cards. We put a lot of work to those fronts. Why cover it up? So these are the fronts. Now these two I'm still playing with. Not quite sure which one I'm going to use. And again, I'm just setting things off to the side, and I'm creating, you know, as I go back and look at things, you see things a different way. So you may come up with a different way to cut something when it comes to that. Sometimes when you really struggle with something, whether you're writing, whether you're creating art or anything like that, and when you find yourself struggling, step away from it and let it there. Don't put it away, but leave it just the way that it was. And when you come back, you'll see it actually with fresh eyes. And you can come up with possibly more ideas on what you can do. That's kind of what I'm doing with a few of the pieces that I have here when it comes to this. So just by looking through it and saying, okay, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? You'll come up with what you're looking for. I decided with that strip to mat it, to create those layers and to get it to that certain point. And just by putting that there, now that helps to stand out just a little bit. So again, now I've created another front for my cards. Now the card bases that I use, I get that paper from, well, forgot the name. I think it's called Paper Mill. I found it on there. It's a very smooth, wonderful 110-pound cover weight, because that's what you want when it comes to your card bases, that weight. And it is a quarter of the price of, you know, the Nina. I mean, we spend a lot when it comes to Nina, so I use that when I do my alcohol markers, and that's F. So here are the card fronts that I have. Here are my bases off to the side. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to place these up onto my card bases. So you can see the steps. I cut my pattern paper first. I just get that all sorted and all cut down. Then I pick out my 2, maybe 3 colors of my solid cardstock to mat, to make the pattern paper be the focal point. And I just want to point out, I did not use any vintage photo in this video. At least I don't think so. Your solid cardstock helps your pattern paper to become that focal point. We always have to have a focal point. That's the purpose of making and doing what we do. We have focal points. If we just had a card base with a sentiment, the sentiment would be the focal point, which is really cool. So I'm setting these up all on my card bases. The only card base color that I will choose, or that I purchase, is white, because I can cover the entire front with cardstock and change that color so that when somebody opens it, it's like, pop, there's white. And you can write on that. I do like a black card base. Just got to remember, when you use darker card bases, you got to make sure that you open up the inside and make sure you put a lighter color so that you can write your message. You can always use a white gel pen to write your message as well. So you can see we're trimming down here and we're creating all of the different panels. What I loved about this pattern paper, this section of the paper pad that I had, it was good for any occasion. It was good for a wedding. That card right there is perfect for a wedding card because it's got a wedding cake on it. You know, it doesn't have to have that sentiment. These are all the cards that we have created. We have a total of 9 that I showed in this video. Now, the beautiful thing when it comes to the strips, that can add something to the inside of your card. So what I did with the strips, I just cut them at different lengths, and I'm just putting them on the inside of each of these note cards just to give a little bit something special, a little bit more onto the inside. Every once in a while, I'll do something to the inside of the card. 9 out of 10, everything I do is inside, or excuse me, outside, when it comes to my design and everything that's developed. Now, of course, there are times where I do go to the inside, but again, that's only if I'm thinking it through, or if I have this sentiment and I don't want to put it out on the front because I've done so much out on there, I don't want to color it or cover it up, then I'll put that on the inside. So usually I'm the outside type of girl when it comes to the cards. Just by, though, adding these little tiny strips, you're adding something to the inside to help make it match. By making this, this would be a wonderful gift for somebody special if they are one that we still believe in snail mail. Look, I am one to, when it comes to note cards, and I can't stress that enough, note cards, I will send those. I will bring that in for somebody at work and just say, you know, hey, thinking about you, you seem a little down, you seem a little frustrated, you know, I'm here to help, or something like that. I just love playing with paper. I love its texture. I love how it feels and what we can do with it. But I'm not really one that, you know, I'm always late sending out Christmas cards, if I even do it at all. So it's really funny. But I enjoy this when it comes to what I can show you, what what tips and tricks I can give you from things that I see, or to know, you know, hey, I'm interested in learning this. Have you ever done this before? Just to help you guys expand and try new things and let you know how these things go. So these are the cards that we made. There were 9. Again, grab out that paper. Don't hoard it. Cut it up. And there will be more videos like this coming soon. I do hope you enjoyed it. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. If you have any questions, please make sure you leave those down below. I'd love for you to be part of my group. Hopefully I'm teaching people a little bit of tips and tricks. So please make sure you subscribe. But remember, I am calling 2021 this year the year of the creative. So I want you all to smile, laugh. It will help. But always be creative. Take care, guys. Till next time.